All right, day 5, leaving Red's Meadow, and I kind of feel like my heart is a little refreshed. I actually got to hang out with some people, and had a great burger for dinner last night. Wow, it is just beautiful out here. So, got to get in these really cool hot springs here. If you ever come to Red's Meadows, make sure you jump in the hot spring. We did like a cold plunge hot spring combo. That felt really good. But today I'm off. I think I'm gonna head to like Virginia Lake is what it was called. Originally was aiming for Duck, but I think I'm gonna try to tack on a couple extra miles today and then make my hike to VVR tomorrow. Woo! Just a little shorter. So we'll see how everything goes. I'll show you some rad stuff along the way, but I'm pretty sure today is a lot of elevation climbing. And when I say a lot, I mean like 2,500 feet. Not nearly as bad as day 1 with 6,000 feet elevation. 6,000 feet elevation gain. So here we go. Whew. I'm a little tired this morning. Starting to get a little mustache here too. So let's do a little day 5 recap. John Muir Trail. I am actually standing right by Virginia Lake. Yesterday morning, I started in Red's Meadow, and my original goal was to make it to Duck Lake. It was about a 12-mile day. I got on trail at 8:30 and thought to myself, I got to keep pushing. And that actually started earlier because I had connected with some guys at Red's Meadow who said they stayed at Virginia Lake, and one of them was telling me that the trout were this big. Okay, just kidding. He was telling me that they had some really nice-sized trout here, that this would be a great lake to make it to, that you totally could. And so I got on the trail about 8:30. It was really nice. Let me go back and say this. It was really nice being in Red's Meadows yesterday morning, being able to call my wife, being able to call my mom, being able to text some people. Doing this solo has been rough for an extrovert. And just having that contact was really cool to be able to connect with some people yesterday. As you walk out of Red's, you move into this forest. I think there had been a fire there, something like the Rainbow Fire. I'm going to do a little stretching while we talk. And so you walk into this forest that had been burnt, and then you kind of get into this older part of the forest. And really, you're just going uphill. I think yesterday I started at 7,700 feet elevation. I'm camping at 10,500. So yesterday was just elevation gain up. And which was really good for me because my feet from the day before, from Ruby Lake down to Red's, had just gotten hammered and my toes were hurting. And so going uphill actually felt better than going down yesterday. As I was observing the trail and looking at the trail, there were a couple really cool places. I think there was a little stream called like Crater Creek. There was a couple places you could camp by that if you're not looking to do as many miles in a day as I have been. And there was also another little thing, I was thinking it was called like Duck Creek or something. No, Deer Creek, that's what it was, Deer Creek. There was a great place you could camp there. And there was actually a couple fish. I tried to fish there, but no luck when I had stopped for a water break. But there was this section from Deer Creek to like where Duck Lake is, a 5.5 mile stretch with no water. And so I needed to carry enough water to do that. And it was kind of interesting because you're just kind of going around the sides of these mountains, and you just like continue to go around the sides of these mountains. I really thought, I'm like, I have to have a change of scenery at some point, but nope. And as I came around the side of one of these mountains, I could see another mountain in the distance. And I thought, there's no way I'm going around it. It was this kind of rock face and then these trees up at top. And I have to tell you, for a second, I got scared. I don't like heights. I don't like looking down on things like that. And sure enough, I had to cross over that, but it was higher up in the tree line. And I knew it was down there. I knew kind of that rock face was down there, but ended up not having to really like see it as much as I thought I might have had to. While I was doing kind of those rounds around the mountain, I stopped at I think I stopped at 12:30 for lunch. What I've been trying to do is hike for 2 miles, 25-minute miles, and then a 10-minute rest. So I hike for an hour, and then I hike for 50 minutes, rest for 10, and then I keep moving. And then I try to take an hour for lunch. Yesterday, I wrapped up lunch within 45 minutes and thought I could just keep going. So I continued to move on. I got to where I was able to filter water at I think it's the outlet for Duck Lake. I never made it back to Duck Lake because it was a 1.5 miles back off of trail. And when I started adding up the miles, if I went 1.5 miles back to check out that, came 1.5 miles back, then from there, it was still another probably 4.5 miles here to Virginia Lake. Now, there is a lake in between. It's called Purple Lake. It is beautiful. I stopped there to fish a little. Wasn't able to land anything, but there is kind of a no camping ban around some of the better spots to camp at that lake. And so I just figured I'd push another 2 miles. And it worked out really well yesterday. I think I was just under 17 miles as I've been tracking my miles. But then I was able to make it here to Virginia Lake. And I anticipate that my day will be shorter today as I hike. But we're not going to talk about today yet. So then last night, made it to Virginia Lake. There's some great campsites up over here. I'll kind of give you a glimpse of what I had. And then the lake is just spectacular. I mean, the view here, I'm still in Ansel Adams Wilderness, and the mountain peaks in the back that are jetting are just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And I'm looking back right now. I can see the sun peeking over them. If you ever get an opportunity to get back here, it's just beautiful. And it's so quiet. I don't know if you can hear that. There's just nothing. I kind of feel bad talking, but I got some trees in between me and some of the other people who are camping here. And so I think I'll be okay. So last night I got to Virginia Lake, tried to fish again. Man, I've just been getting skunked. I've been getting totally skunked on fishing, which has been a little bummer for me because last year I was in the Sierras and was able to just hit a bunch of fish, but that didn't happen this year yet. So last night, there's a couple other guys who are going southbound. There's 3 guys. They went to college together, and we've been sort of leapfrogging each other. We've been seeing each other. Yesterday, they left before me, but I kind of was able to meet up with them at one spot and filter water. And the one we had talked that we were all going here to Virginia Lake, and so we had dinner together last night, and it was just super cool. Great guys. They went to college together. They all live in different cities now, but really, it was really encouraging for me to have dinner with them and talk. And I think that's one thing doing this solo that I'm realizing is that I'm missing is human interaction. And, you know, when you go backpacking in a group of people, you can say, hey, where do you guys want to stop for lunch? And people will give feedback. You say, hey, does anyone need to filter water? Or, hey, does anyone want to stop here and fish? And you have people you can bounce all of these ideas off and see if it's a good idea. Now, if you're solo backpacking, you're the only one who you can bounce an idea off. And so you might say like, well, is this a good idea? And if you have to ask yourself if it's a good idea, it's probably not a good idea because you're trying to maybe convince yourself that it's a good idea. And so it was just good talking with them yesterday and hearing where they're going and what they're going to be doing. My goal after leaving Virginia Lake this morning will be to make it to Vermilion Valley Ranch, and I'm going to be taking a 0 day there. And I think that's going to be good because yesterday when I was doing some of these downhills, my toes are still hurting. I have some blisters that are forming on my heels, and I'm not really surprised at that. I've been, kind of averaging around 17 miles a day, which has been my goal. I'm happy that I'm hitting that. And yeah, it's just, this is beautiful up here. If you're thinking about hiking the John Muir Trail, this is beautiful. I don't know if I've said this out loud. I've said this to my mind probably 100 times. You know, if I was to do this again, I would make sure to try to add some days. And so I would love to do this maybe in 21 days. And I was even talking with these other guys about it is, you know, how do you get the time off of work? How do you get PTO? How do you leave your family? How do you leave your children? How do you be away from other responsibility? And so that's something to process, but that's just been something that's going on in my mind. You know, I don't feel like I'm missing out on the pace that I'm going. Yesterday, I could have stopped at 2. There was a great spot that I could have camped kind of near that outlet to Duck Lake without even going back. But I just told myself, no, I want to keep going. I want to continue to move. And so yesterday I hiked from 8:30 to 5:30. Today, my goal is to get on trail at 7:30, and the ferry picks up at VVR at 4:30. So even if I get there early, I can just fish that lake a little and be there. So there you go, John Muir Trail, day 5. I went from Meadow to Virginia Lake, and it is absolutely stunning here. This is just stunning. Absolutely stunning here. Look at that.